Hey lovelies, you're welcome back to the channel. So on this tutorial we're going to be working on this style. So this is actually a queen hand neckline with a keyhole at the back. So let's work on this. So I already have my pattern paper and then I already went ahead to draw out or sketch out my basic bodice pattern, just that this is including my underbust, so you also include your underbust for this. So basically I'm just going to be using this pattern to work on it. Then this line you can see here is my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. So I went ahead to draw it from the waist point to my chest line. Also I went up by about 3 inches because my client does not want a bust to be reviewed or a cleavage to be reviewed. So this actually depends on how your clients want ours. So this is basically what I already have on this paper. So now let's go ahead into the sketching. So the first thing we are going to be doing now is we are going to be taking 1 inch on both sides. So this is just me basically showing you how many inch I went up by there. So you take 1 inch on both sides. So this is going to be used for our bust contouring. So just take 1 inch on the center front and then on the side front. We're going to be using 1 inch each on this part. Once again, what I use for my nipple to nipple is 8 inches divided by 4. So I extended that also to the waist. So I add my 1 inch on both sides from the under bust to the waist side. I hope this is clear. So I'll be using this curve now to arrange a nice curve into my bust point. So before that, on bust point, I'm going to be coming down by half an inch. So for this tutorial, I'm using half an inch because my client is a bit busty. So I'm just going to come down by half an inch and then use the curvy part of my ruler to blend a nice curve into this like this. So I'll repeat it on the other side as well and arrange another nice curve for this other part. So you want to make sure that you find the right way to place your ruler so that your cup doesn't come out looking weird after. Alright guys, so after you are done with this, so the cup is actually ready. Now what we are going to be doing now is we are going to be working on the upper part of this. So just pay close attention to what I'm going to be doing here. So I'm going to be also tightening the over bust. So for the tightening of the over bust, I'm going to be using ½ inch on both sides. Then I will connect it into my bust point line, just as you can see in this video. So guys, please pay close attention as well. Also on this bust point, you can go up by ½ inch before connecting it if you are actually not that good with using your ruler. But if you are, it is actually fine. You can go ahead to see the way I'm doing it. So you can see the way I'm blending up these lines now. You can see that it makes it more easier. So after we are done with this now, on this part which I said I'm going to be using as a chest line for my client, I came down by 1 inch because like I said earlier, I don't want her cleavage revealing. She doesn't want her cleavage revealing at all. So I made my first curve like this from the first tightening I had. You can see how it is. Then from this part now, I'm just going to be connecting it straight into the line I had before. So this is what it looks like. Now what I'm going to be doing now is from this part which my dart or my over bust tightening stopped, I'm going to be connecting it straight to my neckline. So what I use basically for my neckline is just the 3 by 3 neckline measurement. So I'm going to be slanting it this way into my neckline. I hope this is clear. So just from where my dart leg stop or my over bust tightening stop, I just made it slant into my neckline. Once again, what I use for my neckline is 3 by 3. So this part now will serve as my yoke. So this is me confirming what I use for my neckline, which is 3 by 3. I made a curve from there. Then now we're going to go over to the 1 inch we use on that part. We're going to be replacing it now to the armhole, because if you don't replace it, the over bust is going to be too tight. So I'm just going to go ahead and extend that part by 1 inch and then use my ruler or my curve to connect a new curve for my armhole. So another thing I'll be doing now is I'll be taking my round bust measurement, divided by 4. Then after I'm done with that, I'm going to be adding 2 inch allowance. So this is going to be used for my stitching allowance. So now I'm going to be connecting that 1 inch I had on my armhole part. I'm going to be connecting it into my armhole this way. So the 1 inch I use for my over bust tightening, I'm going to be connecting it into my armhole just like this. So this is what my new armhole looks like. Now the same measurement I took on my chest line, I'm going to be taking it on my bust point as well. So I'm going to take in my bust measurement divided by 4, and I'm going to be adding 2 inch allowance for my stitching. So after I'm done with this, now I'm going to go over to the under bust. Make sure you take your round under bust measurement, the round under bust measurement of your client, divided by 4. Then after you are done with that, you've replaced what you use for your contouring, which is 2 inch. Then after that, you add extra 2 inch allowance for your sewing as well. So these are the lines I have. Now over to the waist as well. Take your waist measurement divided by 4, or your client's waist measurement divided by 4. Add your allowance for contouring as well. Then you go ahead to add extra 2 inch. So overall, you're going to be adding your waist measurement divided by 2 plus 4 inch allowance, because I use 1 inch on both sides for my hip, for my waist rather. So now just connect these points together now using your curve, and this is basically all for the front pattern. So just want to make sure you carefully connect these together. I really hope this is visible enough, because I couldn't get light in our area to smoothen out the pattern papers. Alright, so just cut along these lines carefully, as you can see me doing. So you want to be careful enough not to cut the pattern wrongly. So after I'm done with this side, I'm going to go ahead to open this center as well, which is the contouring part, and carefully cut along the lines I already drew out with my pencil. So just cut carefully, as careful as possible. So this is what I had after I was done cutting, guys. So this is just the center, the side, and then the yoke. So I went ahead to add ½ inch on my shoulder parts, which is half foot as a stitching. Then this is me adding basic allowances to this so that it will be easier for me when I want to cut. So I'm going to be adding ½ inch on the top part. Then on the lower part of the queen hand yoke, I added ½ inch. I already added ½ inch to the shoulder part as well. So this is just basically, then while drafting this bodies, I added 1 inch allowance, which I'm going to be using to join the bodies. As you can see that it is a gown in the inspo. So this is basically what the pattern looks like. So I hope this was what you got for yours as well. So now we're going to move directly to the back pattern for this. So for the back pattern, I'm going to go ahead to trace out my basic bodies again. So this is just basically what I'm trying to explain. Trace out your basic bodies again. This time around, I'm going to be working from my chest line. So my chest line is 8 inch. So for the chest line, you can see I already drew out my nipple to nipple as well. So from the chest line, I just drew out my neckline. So for the neckline of this, I used the 3 by 1 because the neckline is actually going to be high. So hence, then from that part, I just made a curve this way. So I hope this is actually clear. So from the neckline, which is by the 3 by 1, the 3 has the wideness and then 1 has the depth. So I just came down by extra 1.5 inch. Then I just made a curve into my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inch. So this is basically what I have here. This is without even drawing the dart yet. So this is if you want the back to be wide. If you don't want the back to be wide, you can use your exact nipple to nipple, which is 4 inch for my client, and then make another curve. So this is actually depending on how wide you want your back to be. Again, I used 3 by 1 for the back. And then after I made the curve, so this, you can see now I have 2 curves depending on which of them you prefer. So this first one is actually wide, while the second one is exactly my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, which is on 4 inch. So this now will make sure that my back will be opening by just 8 inch on while it is opened. So here now I'm just going to go ahead to take my dart measurements. I'm going to be going out by ½ inch on both sides for the back. Then I'm going to blend it into the chest line for my dart. So this is just basically all of the back. There's no much for the back. But take note of how wide your client wants the back. If the client wants it moderately wide, you can use your dart measurement or your nipple to nipple measurement. But if you want it more, you can just go ahead to just work on what you believe will be okay. So here is me taking my round bust measurement again divided by 4. Then I added my 2 inch allowance to this. Then on the waistline as well, I'll take my round waist measurement divided by 4. Then I'll add my 2 inch allowance to this. So I just love to work with 2 inch allowance because most of my clients like to have enough allowance in their clothes. So after I'm done with that, basically what I'm going to be doing now is just connect these points together. So this is just me trying to show you that you can take your under bust measurement too, but it will still fall on the same thing. So that is why I mostly don't take it. So I'll just use my ruler now to make a line from my chest line to my waist. So this is basically all for this tutorial. So after I'm done with this now, I'll go ahead and cut this out as well. So this is my armhole curve. You can see that the front armhole is actually different from the back armhole. So this is why you need to see the tutorial on how to cut the bodice, a busy bodice pattern. So this is all for the back piece. Remember the neckline is 3 by 1 because the neck is actually high. So just cut along the lines now. So carefully cut out yours as well. So this is just the yoke part of it. Carefully remove that as well, and then trace out your armhole. Don't forget, again, we're going to be adding allowance to this so that it is easier for us to cut on our fabric. So this is what I had for my back. You can see I used just the nipple to nipple measurement as my opening. So you can go ahead to add zipper allowance to that part. You can add 2-inch zipper allowance to that part. Then for the joining, you add half inch to the sides, and then to the neckline you can add half inch. So I already added half inch to my shoulder, as you can see. So on this part now you can add half-inch allowance to it so that you're going to be using it to join this part back. So this is basically all for this tutorial. If you find this tutorial helpful, please remember to subscribe to the channel, and if you're an old subscriber, please kindly engage in the video. Thanks for watching, guys.